Hello and welcome to Bored and Confused, where I review shows based on two criteria. One, was I bored? Two, was I confused? And once again, I am joined by my mother who's visiting from Houston. She leaves tomorrow. We saw two shows today, and this is her fourth and final review with me. And the show we will be reviewing is The Lost Boys, a new musical playing at the Palace Theater on Broadway. Now, before we jump into this, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. All right, so let's jump into this play. This is based on a movie from 1987, and had you seen the movie?
Nope, never heard of it.
I'd heard of the movie. I knew it was about vampires, but I don't think I saw it. And I'm going to tell you just right off the top, this is the best vampire musical I have seen.
Have you seen any other vampire
I've seen like 3 or 4.
Oh, really?
But the bar is very low. So how did this show come to be? This really is the brainchild of the producers Marcus Chait, James Carpinello, and Patrick Wilson, who is the guy from the Conjuring movies, had been trying to secure the stage rights from Warner Brothers for quite some time. And it wasn't until during the COVID lockdown in 2020 that they finally were able to get those rights. They brought in David Hornsby, a writer and executive producer of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, to write the book alongside his friend and collaborator Chris Hoch, who is a Broadway actor who I've seen in many Broadway shows. And for the score, Michael Arden suggested a California indie rock band called The Rescues. And here's something notable. This show is coming directly to Broadway. It's not having any tryouts. And part of this reason is the set design for this, who was designed by Dane Laffrey, who also did the scenic design for Maybe Happy Ending, which you really liked.
I love this Scenic.
So it's a huge, heavy, big set, which I think would have made it difficult to tour, so they just chose to bring it straight into Broadway. They did an industry-only reading in March of 2025, but other than that, this show is coming in cold onto Broadway, which is daring. So what is The Lost Boys about?
Well, I identified with a mother whose name was Lucy. Well, not the abusive marriage part, because I wasn't in that.
Although in our family we do have a history of that.
Well, yeah, but that's great-great-grandpa or something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she moves with her 2 teenage sons from Arizona to California to kind of start over. Her father had died and left her his house, so that's why they're moving to California. And the older son is the very brooding one, and the younger one is just a nerdy comic book loving kid of 14.
They quickly discover in this new city that there's an alarming number of people that have gone missing. And both of these boys are looking to find where they belong, to find a new friend group. And so Sam, the youngest, the 14-year-old, falls in with a pair of self-appointed vampire hunters called the Frog Brothers, Edgar and Alan, who work at a local comic book store. And Michael, meanwhile, falls in with this mysterious gang of bikers.
Yeah, Michael's the older brother.
And he also falls for this girl named Star, who's beautiful. These guys have a rock band, and he's just really impressed with them.
And I have to say, as a mother, that at the beginning, I did not like Michael. He was treating his mother terribly.
I would never.
No, you wouldn't treat me that way. But no, he was just really rude to her and just ornery. But we later find out that he has been wounded from having an abusive father, which was one of the reasons they were getting a new start. And I think if we had known that sooner, he might have been more sympathetic.
Yeah, so we both had the same reaction. The first act, when our main character is Michael, and his is the story we're following. He just seems like a petulant teenager. And it's later, it's an hour in, because I looked at my watch. The moment where I felt sympathy for him, I went, what time is it?
Yes.
It was an hour into the show.
The spoiler alert, he pulls up his shirt and he's got this big bruise from his dad.
We learned that his father beat him. And that's when I went, oh, okay, well, now I feel sympathetic for this guy. Because otherwise I was just, why are you being such a jerk? But that's an hour into the first act before I felt any sympathy for this character. So that's a little dangerous. But we could talk about a few positive things as well. So first of all, one of the biggest positive I thought was the set and the lighting design for this.
Oh, yes. It fit very well in the whole dark vampire.
Yeah, it's a lot of metal. They use the full, the palace is a huge theater.
They had people flying up and down and different moving around.
The flying was cool. I thought the lighting design, I thought the costumes were really cool.
Yes, and people standing up on the catwalk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all very metal, industrial.
And down, actually went down below the stage too.
Exactly.
Came up from below.
And we were sitting pretty close to the
Yes.
stage, and we were worried. We got you a booster seat. But honestly, most of this show takes place not on the stage. It takes up like midway, either on the catwalk, or they're flying, or they're on a billboard. There's always seem to be in the middle of the proscenium. The performers are strong across the board.
Oh, yes.
You mentioned Shoshana Bean as the mother. She's a good actor, and I'm always just impressed by her singing.
Oh, yes.
She
I
makes
loved everything. She's really was a good
Yeah.
actress and singer and amazing performer.
She makes it sound effortlessly, and she's
Yes.
belting these high notes, and she just does it with such ease. I just saw her in Hell's Kitchen, playing a very similar role, a mother with a troubled teenager. L.J. Benét, who plays
Michael.
or Benét, or Benét, plays Michael. You know, he's good. He has a great voice, but he is a troubled teenager, but that's more the writing. The lead vampire, and I'm going to destroy this name, Louis Bourzgui, plays the lead vampire. He's got a great rock voice.
Oh, yes. Yeah, he did.
He was
really good
great.
job.
He
was really
sounded
good.
so good. He was menacing. A little guy, but sometimes the little guys are almost more scary because of that.
I didn't even really notice it. I mean, because he was a commanding presence on the
he
stage.
was great. His voice he's got a rough, growly, gravelly voice. He just sounded great. And he looked like Ziggy Stardust, David Bowie.
David Bowie.
Kind of a David
his hair,
Bowie
the way he had
vibe.
his hair.
Yeah. And
was
then
a
we
big
loved
problem.
Benjamin Pajak.
As the 14-year-old.
Sorry about the names on this. First of all, he looked like a 14-year-old. Finding out he was 15, he had a great voice. He's going to have such a great career.
Yes.
As the love interest for Michael is Maria Wirries. Beautiful, great voice.
Yes.
She has this one song called War in the second act that I thought she killed.
Yeah.
And then Paul Alexander Nolan as the love interest for the mother. He had an incredible voice. His belt.
He's really, really good.
He was great as well. The cast was incredible. Everyone was incredible in this cast. I thought the vocal arrangements were incredible in this. I thought the sound of the music, the orchestrations really fit the period of the 1980s. Loved all that.
I can't really say that much about the music because I have to hear things a lot.
Most people do.
Several times before it gets stuck in my head. So there wasn't really anything that's stuck in my head. I think the first act, particularly a lot of the rock music, and that's harder to stick in your head. I really liked the number the mother did in the second act, which is called...
It's called Wild.
Wild.
I like that song.
Yeah, she talks about her young life as a hippie and in ways wishing she could go back to that.
The way I judge a score, I don't judge whether I can sing it or not when I leave. When I say whether it's memorable, it's not about whether the melody was memorable. It's about whether the ideas were memorable.
Yes, and the lyrics of it tells you a lot about how she's feeling, which is excellent because it serves a purpose. Whereas some of the other songs, they don't move
the plot forward or really explain a lot about the characters. And this band Rescue it's their first. There's a lot of firsts. The book writers for this musical, it's their first musical, and the songwriters, it's their first musical. But Michael Arden, as the director, really seems to be directing this whole thing and getting what he wants out of this. I did a little research about these songwriters. They read about 50 songs. There's about 20 in the show. And it seems like a lot, but a lot of the songs in the show are not full 3-minute songs. Some of the songs are very short, like a minute long.
Most of them weren't that memorable to me, but again, if I heard them more, they might be more.
Well, I often find like what happens is you see a show and you go, oh, that song really moved me emotionally, or that song just really tapped into this idea. Or if a song's really funny, you just go, oh, that song made me laugh so hard. There are a couple funny songs in the show, but I feel like they're not comfortable writing comedic songs.
Wait, which ones were I don't even remember funny songs.
Sam's songs, the 14-year-old.
Okay.
He has the funny songs.
Oh, okay. What were they?
The opening of the second act is My Brother is a Vampire.
Oh, okay.
And then he sings a song about wanting to be a superhero.
Okay. But I didn't really think they were that funny. I don't.
Well, the songs weren't that funny, but they were meant to be. And the way Michael Arden directed them, the song My Brother is a Vampire, the ensemble was dressed as a comic book vampire.
Yes.
Think Count Chocula.
Yeah. And then they had the superhero thing where all these superheroes
were dressed like comic book heroes.
And so that part was a nice little diversion.
So the songs were funny because of the way they were directed and the way they were costumed. But the songs themselves, if I was just listening to them,
I don't remember.
They didn't have jokes. And it doesn't surprise me. You know, an indie rock band isn't writing comic songs. That's more of a musical comedy thing. So getting into some criticisms, let me just say, the first act, I was not engaged. But I loved the second act. And the reason is because the first act, the mood of it was very brooding and dark and sinister. The opening song is called No More Monsters. And this opening song was confusing to me because we don't learn that this family is escaping an abusive father until later in the show. So they sing No More Monsters, and I was thinking, what are the monsters?
Yeah, because they haven't started the vampire stuff yet.
Yeah, so I got that it was being ironic because we know as an audience, we go, oh, there's going to be monsters. So isn't it funny or ironic that they're singing No More Monsters as they go to some place that's going to have monsters? But I didn't understand what monsters they were referring to. And then later, when we discovered that the father was abusive, I went, oh, now I know what that song was about.
Because they did reprise it at the end.
Reprise
and
it
then
then.
it makes more
then
sense.
It made sense. And then what happens is we're following Michael as our lead character for the whole show, but especially that first act. We're more following him meeting this girl, getting in with the vampires. That's the whole first act. We have one small scene with Sam where he meets the frogs at a comic book store. But this scene is played really silly. And it's all of a sudden, it feels like we're doing a Roald Dahl book, having just seen Giant. But didn't it felt like, you know, they're like, oh, we're fighting vampires. And
they're kind of over the top in their enthusiasm for vampires.
It's silly.
And they're these siblings, which was confusing because the younger one says she's the brother, but she's a female and she doesn't use her first name. So
she uses a boy name and she says a brother.
Which is her middle name.
And I don't know if they were trying to say she was non-binary. Maybe. I don't know. I didn't get it. But the way they were behaving, it was a kind of, that scene to me, I was like, oh, what musical are we in? Because the rest of the show was very dark. We're talking about monsters and darkness. Well, they were kind of
goofy because they were young.
Yeah. And then they also say, they're like, should we bring him on our team? And I was like, why? Because he knows about Batman comics?
Oh.
It just was, they're like, he knows about comics. So I guess the logic for a 14-year-old makes sense.
Yeah, and then, of course, they kept appearing in their house. Somehow, we don't know how they kept getting in, but they would show up inside their house.
That's the tone shift between, we've got these dark, brooding, bloody vampires.
And then you have these two.
And then we have these wonk, 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 wonk. People who they show up in his house, come out of the armoire.
Or something.
Am I saying that right? Armoire.
I guess, yeah.
Out of the cabinet. And they don't explain how did he get in the cabinet? How long was he in there? So this was the main issue I had with the show, is that the Act 1 and the Act 2 felt like two different musicals to me.
Well, you analyze things a lot more. I didn't really think about that one way or the other.
The second act was so much sillier.
Well, I was more engaged in the second act. I think that was the main thing. I was just more engaged with the characters.
The reason we're more engaged in the second act is because we finally have a character who wants to do something, and that character is Sam. He wants to save his brother from the vampires.
And we know that his brother is halfway into becoming one, but he still can be saved.
And he gives us an I Want song, which is My Brother's a Vampire.
Yes.
And then it brings in the frogs. And all of a sudden, we're like, Sam is a likable character.
Yes. And we're rooting for him to be saved.
And we want him to save his dour, upset, angry, angsty, teenage older brother, who usually makes fun of him. And the fact that he wants to save him.
Yes, because usually his brother picks on him. But I have to say, later on, by the time he saves him, then he's nice to him.
He is nice once he saves his butt. And I felt for the mother from the beginning, because she's clearly trying to be a good mother. She's trying to help her kids, but she didn't have a lot to do. I'm looking right now.
Well, that's true.
She has Be Kind, Rewind, which is when she gets the job. But she doesn't have any songs about her family until the second act, is where Lucy gets like 3 or 4 songs. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I like her. She's singing.
Yeah, I love Lucy.
She's great. I feel for her. So this is why we were engaged in the second act. But the first act is 1 hour and 10 minutes. It's a long, or maybe even longer.
I don't know.
And 1 hour of not caring about our main character. So to me, that's the main issue with the show. But I was so pleased by the second act, because I was like, oh, good.
Oh, I just want to say about the audience. I figured there must have been a lot of young girls in the audience, because there would be these points at which I'd hear off to the side.
They were in the mezzanine.
The mezzanine. This high-pitched screams.
Cheaper seats.
Excitement. They were just like,
and when the lovers kiss for the first
oh my
time,
gosh, and they all went crazy. Whoever they were, it's like, it's like.
And I will say, this is a young person's show. It really is, because our lead characters are 14 and what is he, 17?
Yeah, he's actually older than that in real life,
like
but he's supposed to be, I think.
But he's a teenager. And so, of course, this is going to appeal towards teenagers, people in their early 20s. They're going to buy the cheap seats, and they're going to go back and see this show again and again.
Plus that whole vampire culture thing. I think, that's been used in a lot of movies to great success and TV shows. There's this appeal of vampires, I guess, with young people.
There's been I've seen many vampire musicals on Broadway, and they're always very difficult because vampires don't sing unless they're in a rock band, which in The Lost Boys makes sense. So, were you bored?
Well, I would say I wasn't that engaged in the first act. I was a lot more engaged in the second.
Yeah, I felt that too. Michael Arden is a great director. He keeps it moving. People are moving vertically, horizontally. They're flying. There's blood. There's lights.
Yes.
The levels.
I don't think I was really bored, but I just,
Michael Arden loves levels. I saw it in Queen of Versailles. He also had a very similar set. He had these tiers because they were repairing a house. He loves using those levels, which I think is great in a theater because you've got people up in the mezzanine and the balcony, and it all of a sudden puts them at the same eye level.
Because they can see those people that
which
are flying
I think is great. There. It gives everyone, equal opportunity to really see people. So I'm a big fan of Michael Arden, and so he kept the narrative moving, but my mind was a little bit like, I don't care about this guy, and I was a little wandering. But the second act, I was in it to win it.
Yes, second act was better.
Were you confused?
I don't think so. I may not have always caught all the words they were saying, but I think in general...
Because they're written like pop songs. They're using slant rhymes.
Well, and just the whole, at the beginning it's about vampires. And they have somebody die right at the beginning.
I think you were a little confused because I remember you whispering to me about the rules of the vampire.
Oh, yeah, the rules of the vampire.
And right after you whispered it, though, that's when Sam got the book or something. Something got explained.
I was like, what are the rules for vampires? Yeah. Because the brother had already been...
Spoiler alert. Well, it's just, they have their own rules. We think we know rules, and it kind of has some of those rules.
They didn't bite the character on the neck.
Yeah, the neck biting thing is not here.
He drank blood.
Yeah, but I don't want to give away too much.
But that's when I said, what are the rules? Because I'm like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, because we were like, is he a vampire? Is he not a vampire?
What's happening? And then the younger brother got this book from the Frog Brothers.
Now,
that had all the rules.
Honestly, I followed it because they dropped some hints earlier on with some of the other characters that I followed it pretty much. And when you were confused, they did explain it right after.
Yeah, they did right after. After I said I was confused, they explained it.
They explained it. So they didn't let you go too long.
No,
so my main confusion with this is tonally I was confused by it. Whether we were doing a really dark, serious brooding show, which was the first act, or whether we were doing a lighter. And the way the musical ends, which I don't want to give away, but it ends on a more comical, lighter touch.
Yeah.
Which was not how we started in the beginning. The beginning was spooky and scary beginning.
Oh, yeah, when you kill somebody at the beginning. Yes.
Yeah, we start out with a death.
And then they've got all this bulletin board on the boardwalk that has all these missing people.
It's very dark.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's spooky. Yeah, so let's wrap this up.
Okay. It's not my favorite musical because I really think this appeals more to younger people. It's not. It's
about teenagers. So.
Yeah, other than I did identify with a mother because I'm a mother, but not as... I wasn't that invested.
I think it will appeal to a lot of people because it is well done. What's the most well done part is the direction, the set design, the lighting, the musical, the actors. I think the score in the book could be stronger. Jokes that they tried to add in the first act, I didn't laugh a lot.
I didn't even know there were any.
Yeah, there were some jokes that they tried to lighten it up with, and that's part of the tone problem is that it was hard to laugh at them because he was kind of being mean to his brother, and it was hard to laugh at those jokes. And I just didn't think they were that funny. But so I just felt that this...
It is normal for him to be mean to his younger brother, though.
Yeah, I think
I
it's,
have grandchildren that have done that.
I just felt that this was actually a really good story, a really good production, really great actors, and I just thought it deserved a little better book and score.
I feel like it really does appeal to a younger.
Yeah, the singing is
generally.
incredible, and the
Yes.
and it sounds great, and the harmonies, like the love song. I was like, oh, that sounds beautiful, but what are they singing about? It's just the stars and your eyes and,
Well,
pop music lyrics. Oh, so where do we get our seats? There are $45 tickets available, rush tickets available at the box office day of, but we did the Broadway Direct Lottery, which you sign up the day before. I got to tell you that the lottery, they don't text you. You have to check your email right around 2 o'clock, which is what we did. And we had won 2 tickets. The seats were excellent. We were in the orchestra, row H. We were all the way over, but it was the center section. But we had great view.
Yeah, well, we did.
I was completely happy. $45, could not ask for a better seat. Please go check out The Lost Boys. I think you'll enjoy it. I mean, it depends who you are. If you're 18, go check it out. You'll love it.
Well, it could be a little older than
Ask
that.
your parents for $45. And check out The Lost Boys and come back and in the comments, let us know what you thought.
Yes.
All right, Mom, that was your last show. You're headed back. So say goodbye for the last time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Don't wanna drift away, wanna stay inside the play. Keep me engaged, keep me amused with what's